I hate to say this, but the console Trackmania release is gonna flop. It's a little bit blunt, but there's really no other way to say it. Before you start flaming me in the comments if you're a hardcore Trackmania fan, just hear me out. I'm a big Trackmania fan too, and I've been playing it on and off for over a decade. But honestly, if Nadeo's track record is anything to go by when it comes to console, we're in for a big disappointment. Before I get into why I think it'll flop, let's get into some of the positive because I definitely think there are some. The competitive esports scene is definitely going to see a boost. The game is going to be crossplay, and what that means is that the numbers for Cup of the Day, Ranked Play, and Royales are going to be insane. And by now, we're sort of used to seeing the same names at the top of the leaderboards, but with console players coming in, it won't take too long to see some new aliens contesting for world records and tournament wins. I know I said it's going to flop, but that doesn't mean that the release doesn't have any potential, because there's definitely some potential there. People that have played Trackmania know that the game is basically the equivalent of taking a line of coke. That chase for the perfect run will keep you playing for hours and hours, and before you know it, it's 6 a.m. and you can hear the birds chirping and you're just wondering what you're doing with your life. And that's something console players haven't really experienced yet, and if you think about it, most console players haven't even heard of Trackmania. Yes, Trackmania Turbo was a thing, but the marketing for it was awful, the gameplay wasn't great, and honestly, from my point of view, I don't really consider that Trackmania. Trackmania 2020 on PC is in a great spot. In between seasons, community events, ranked gameplay, royales, and Cup of the Day, there's always something to do. So yeah, if Nadeo properly markets the game and doesn't make boneheaded mistakes, there's a lot of potential here. That's all amazing, but just looking at how the game is going to be structured on consoles and some of the rumors I've heard, I'm already pretty pessimistic. And the first thing I want to bring up is the yearly subscription system. It's gonna put a lot of people off the game. To give you some background, as it currently stands on PC, the starter access, also known as the free-to-play version of the game, has a good amount of content. And if you play from time to time, you can stick with this version and basically have a blast. They give you 25 tracks each season, and you can play multiple game modes like Royale, Arcade, and Ranked with your friends or by yourself. Now, where Nadeo has already started to absolutely drop the ball is that they're planning on limiting the free-to-play version to basically a demo. You'll get 10 tracks in the bronze level of ranked mode. That's it. Are you serious, Nadeo? I'm sorry, but if you want to explode your player base and grow, limiting your free access is just gonna do the opposite, especially when most people on the platform haven't even heard of the game before. The only way you can make it worse is not being able to play the starter access version with your friends. Not only that, but yearly subscription systems for games on consoles aren't super popular. I've seen it with Elder Scrolls Online, Final Fantasy, and other MMOs. It could work, but I personally haven't seen it work to great success. The other issue I wanted to talk about is no khaki maps or non-official servers. One of the main drawing points of Trackmania are the non-official servers with wacky maps and community served content, especially khaki. If you don't know what khaki is, just do a quick Google search and you'll see some of the craziest maps you've ever seen in a racing game. But to give you a quick rundown, it's basically a Trackmania competition where the goal is to finish as many maps as possible during the month of the event. But the maps are usually insanely hard or just straight up crazy. The khaki event usually appears all over YouTube, and new players on consoles are gonna end up being pretty damn disappointed they can't partake. But who knows, maybe Nadeo can make it an official competition down the line. My fingers are crossed, but probably won't happen. And lastly, Open Planet. So what is Open Planet, you may ask? Open Planet is a plugin extension system that you can add onto your Trackmania system on PC, and essentially PC players use it to really improve their gameplay. It's going to be very hard for pro players on console to keep up with PC players, just because they're not at their full capability and they don't really have the chance to be. Time will tell if Trackmania succeeds on console, but honestly, my main gripe with it is the yearly subscription system like I mentioned earlier, and the further limited starter access that they'll be introducing. With those two things, I just don't see a world where Trackmania completely explodes into the mainstream and becomes a massive esport online and we see everybody playing it, even though I really hope it does.